Hi there, keen traders. Happy Monday. It was a holiday in the UK, and combined with the fact that it was a Monday, we had very little volatility. And the problem with it goes one or two ways actually. When you have very slow markets, little volatility, you normally can see limited follow through on initial moves that are popped on data, and that's exactly what we had today. Now, sometimes you can see just the opposite, because you can see that there will be a lot of stops that are run. There won't be people there to go in and try to close those positions. As you can still hear in the background, I do have the people still working on the trees, so it's a little bit loud. I'm working from my office today. So what we had today is basically pops on the durable goods orders and absolutely no follow through, and that was because we didn't have England in play, and we had very few people in the U.S. Enjoying it, because it's basically the last week of summer for a lot of people before their kids go back to school in the U.S. Big vacation week. All right, so let's take a look at what we have going on though. When we have increased liquidity in the markets, hopefully starting tomorrow. First, we're going to look at the bigger picture. In the Euro New Zealand, you can see that the pair has been in a range. It went up to the top of the range, and now it's trying to push down lower. And it came down towards that 170 level today, but couldn't follow, get the gutsos to shoot on through. And now if we get a break below this 170 level, then we could easily just, that means to start cycling lower towards the resistance levels we have at 68.20 and so forth. But we'll have to see the direction, and that will obviously be indicated by the larger term direction in the majors in the Euro New Zealand. So, but you can see on the larger term, if we break down to the 15-minute, we did have a break, but it went right down to that 170 level, and the ATR had already been achieved for the day. So there really wasn't any advantage to jumping into a trade at that point, because there was some, the average ATR, it was on major resistance, or major support, excuse me, so the odds of it continuing to move lower than markets were next to zero. Now, you could have played the bounce like I said, but I'm hesitant. Like, I think I tried it in the Great Britain odd last week, and quite often when you play the bounces, you get stopped out on the bounce, and then it'll get reversed exactly at that point, and it's a very frustrating concept to do. It used to be like pretty much money that you could do it at 11:30 at the European close and get a good 50 pip bounce on a lot of the majors, but that has slowed down a little bit lately. Well, actually lately for about the last year or so. Let's take a look at the Great Britain New Zealand. You can see this pair, same thing, is up towards the top. 200 was the level, and everybody's talking about this trade, thinking that we could get a cycle back down lower. That is very well could be the case, but I would want to see a break below 197.50 before I became too excited for a reverse of the trend. So for a reverse of the trend. So if we look at the 15-minute chart, though, we see right here, right now, that the pair broke down. And it was the same thing. This thing has an average ATR around 200 pips. So we were at, 100 and started 2. We were at about 180. Now, that is not quite often, though. That would be a good chance. It would still might jump into that. And you can see it did shoot down and get that extra few pips there. 16. So you could have got 20, 30 pips there before it reversed. But as I said, it's not an exact science. Those ATRs, you know how an ATR goes up and down. It's breaking above the ATR to increase it, or having a slow inside day, and then the ATR shuts down. It's more of a barometer that you can use in slower markets. So you can see there was no trade in that pair also. In the Euro JPY, same thing. In this triangle, it looked like it was going to break out, still in it, and until we get a break, we can still just see a lot of consolidation, and obviously that's going to just follow the lead of the USD JPY that we talked about, and that was getting closer and closer, and we have to make a decision one way or the other. Great Britain JPY, same thing. We're looking at a larger picture here. That support zone between 154, 154.60, let's say. The pair does look like maybe forming a top. Would like to see a break, though, once again. Then maybe we can see a push down to 151. And these are just, look at the bigger pictures just to give you more bias on which way I would like to see the pushes. So you can see today, though, even if we'd broken that trend line, depending on the velocity that we went through, you would be hesitant to get in before this break in 153 in such slow markets. Euro odds, just on a bigger picture, you can just see it's in a narrow range between 147.50, 149.30. So what do we do here today? Bam! Broke lower and then promptly broke higher. Now, I could have got into this trade, absolutely. But then I was looking over at the Aussie, and the Aussie, if we look at it, was breaking back. It did go right down to to resort, I actually posted here and then just continue to go lower. And it looked like giant moves, right? But it's just because there's nothing going on right now at the moment. I mean, that was a move from to 90.60, and now the pair's back around what 90.25. Let's say 90.30. So it's a 30 pip move. I mean, we could normally get once we get volatility back in September, we'll be looking at 100 pip moves, and then we could. Then we can be making bacon again. All right, let's. So the Great Britain odd, we looked at that. Let's just jump into the 15-minute chart. Right there, 15-minute chart, and you can see that just moved down the trend line. So there were no trades today. Sometimes there aren't. I mean, we could have played the bounces. You could always play the bounces if you want. I mean, that's your choice you make when you get to support and resistance levels. Are you going to stay in the zone or stay out of the zone? And more so recently, it's been staying in the zone, just bouncing back up. And it's always something that you can make a decision to do. But like I said, it's hard to do because because what happens is it doesn't just reverse right at the level. Let's say 172 is the price level. It'll go down to 172. Then it'll look like it's reversing, and then the dealers aren't naive about the fact that people are trying to play bounces. And when you get a break of all the stops. You can shoot down 30-40 pips, then maybe you get a reversal at that point. And it's just hard to gauge how much risk reward you should. I mean, how much leverage you're going to put in. Not how much leverage. How many pips you're going to risk for the reversal of the trend, and for the reward you're going to get at it. I mean, if you're going to put a 172, put a stop here, you'd have to definitely be below that level, which is only 10 pips. But say you get put a stop there, maybe 40, 50 pips below, you'd have to at least be looking for 50 pips, which actually did happen in this particular trade. So it's something you have to keep in mind, and you can always definitely look at it in the Asian markets. They do have a 10 Jeff, and definitely the switch, it looks like, when the European markets have been coming in lately around 2 a.m. You want a bigger rundown on the majors? We know the Aussie, but we look at the bigger picture. You guys probably all have heard this a zillion times already. We're definitely in the trend. We need to see. We get a hold here, and it does look like we hold at the 90 level. We get a break lower, then we can definitely continue to push lower. But you can see there's a trend line there, and we're still making lower lows. And the Euro USD, we all know this very well. We have a couple tops here. We're in a range between 134.50 and 133. We need a break to make things happen. New Zealand and a channel. We're at the bottom of the channel now, though. This could get interesting. We'll see if we get a push up higher on that towards the back of it, because this guy has been very volatile lately. USD, JPY, we already talked about that. The Great Britain, we have a trend line break here, but we haven't had any momentum follow through. We'll have to watch that. If we get a break of that 155.30 area, bam, we can do some cooking. All right, everybody. No action, but there's the rundown. Keep your eyes open for opportunities. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow in the AM.